Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. They say you can tell a lot about a person by how they leave a room. But no one ever tells you what it means when someone stays just long enough to destroy you. The night it happened, I was sitting in our apartment's tiny kitchen, the kind with a flickering light that makes every reflection look like a ghost. I had just finished fixing the damn cabinet hinge for the fourth time because apparently I wasn't handy enough to do it right the first three. On the counter sat a small black box. Inside it, a ring I'd spent 3 months debating, 2 weeks paying off, and 20 minutes crying over when it arrived. It wasn't meant to be a trap. It wasn't revenge. At first, it was just supposed to be a moment. A memory. A start. But that night, the ring became something else. You see, I wasn't supposed to know where she was. I wasn't supposed to be tracking her phone. I wasn't supposed to feel sick every time she smiled at her screen and turned it face down. But I did. I knew everything. I even knew the booth number at the bar. Booth 5. The one near the mirror with the crack running through it. I saw her on the security cam feed. I have a friend who bartends there. He owed me. Long story involving a dog bite and a bottle of vodka. But the point is, I had eyes. She walked in like she owned the place. Confident. Carefree. She wasn't alone for long. When he arrived, she didn't just smile. She stood. She hugged him like he was her home. And then she kissed him. It wasn't some blurry almost kiss. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was the kind of kiss you give when you've been waiting for it all day. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I just stood up, walked over to the hallway closet, grabbed the package with the ring still boxed, still taped, still beautiful. And I printed a new label. 2. Delilah, Bar Bramble, Booth 5. Gift message. Thought you might want to wear this while you sit with him. It was meant for love. Now it's a receipt. I paid extra for express courier. My friend at the bar gave me the signal when it was handed to her. She opened it in front of him. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was the only thing she could do before unraveling. And when she turned to the mirror beside the booth, she saw me. I was never there in person, but taped to the cracked mirror, just behind her head, was a photo of me holding the ring. Alone. Her lover didn't know what to say. She didn't either. And that was exactly how I planned it. But this was only step 1. She didn't touch the ring at first. She just stared at it, like it might explode. The guy next to her, tall, smug, probably the kind who says babe, like it's a nickname and a command, leaned over to peek inside the box. She snapped it shut. His smile flickered. That's when it started. Not the chaos, but the unraveling. Quiet. Controlled. The kind of panic you can't yell your way out of. See, Delilah never expected consequences. She lived in this emotional greenhouse, protected by charm, bathed in compliments, always admired, never challenged. I was part of that too, for a long time. I never questioned her late-night design consultations or the sudden silences when I walked into the room. I ignored the unfamiliar receipts in our shared drawer, the ones for drinks and places we'd never gone together. I kept forgiving small things until I was ankle-deep in red flags, pretending it was just spilled paint from her job. But this time, I was done being quiet. I didn't just send the ring. I sent a message before it. A manila envelope, delivered to the bar 5 minutes earlier, addressed to Booth 5. Inside was a set of printed photos. Time-stamped. Labeled. All taken by a private investigator I hired 6 weeks ago. I told myself it was paranoia. I didn't even open the drive when he sent it. But when she kissed that man on the screen in front of me, I printed every single one. She opened that envelope just before the ring arrived. Her hands shook. She kept glancing around like she expected someone to jump out with a camera. Maybe part of her thought it was a prank. Or a test. But it wasn't. It was real. And it was her reflection in that mirror, the cracked one behind the booth, that made it hit. Because taped to that mirror was a note in my handwriting. Smile wider. He's not the only one watching. She bolted, left her wine, her coat, and her date. He tried calling after her, but she was already pushing through the exit. And that's when I stepped into the light outside. She stopped cold. We locked eyes for 3 seconds. That's all it took for the weight of it all to collapse onto her face. She opened her mouth, probably to spin some story. But I didn't wait. I turned and walked away. No words. No tears. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Because the ring wasn't just a statement. It was step 1 in a story she never imagined I'd have the courage to write. And tomorrow morning, she'd wake up to part 2. A truth more humiliating than anything in that bar. By the time Delilah made it back to our apartment, I was long gone. Not just out of the building, but out of the lease, out of the account, out of her carefully curated version of reality. I had already moved everything I owned into a storage unit on the edge of town. I left no trace except for the single box waiting at our front door, labeled in bold black marker, "For the real you." Inside that box, her own words, her lies, her double life, printed and archived like a gallery exhibit. Every screenshot, every hotel booking, every message she sent to see. The man she kissed in that bar, the same one she claimed was just someone from work who's going through a tough time. She said that to me 2 weeks ago. I didn't argue. I nodded. I even brought her coffee that night and told her I trusted her. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and said, "You're the only one who really sees me." That line echoed in my head as I packed her letters and notes and all the half-baked promises she once left for me into that box. Her handwriting, now looking like a stranger's. "I can't believe someone like you exists. You're my safest place. I never want to know a world without you in it." Each one, tucked in beside the evidence that she had been actively building that world without me for months. I didn't include a letter. I didn't need to. The silence inside that box was louder than anything I could have written. But I wasn't trying to hurt her. Not directly. What I wanted was something worse for someone like Delilah, someone who thrived off appearances, whose entire identity was crafted through admiration and social validation. I wanted her to feel exposed. So I took it one step further. That morning, after the ring and after the mirror, I posted the following message in our neighborhood Facebook group, where she ran a popular DIY decor blog with nearly 1,000 followers. To those following Delilah's Elegant Living series, please stay tuned. A new chapter is about to be published. Spoiler alert, it includes betrayal, a bar booth, and a diamond meant for someone else. She deleted the post in under 5 minutes. But the damage was done. People saw it, screenshotted it. Comments started circulating. Her group chat exploded. Friends began texting me. People she hadn't spoken to in years suddenly had questions. Delilah didn't just lose control of the story, she became the story. And as all that unfolded, I sat in a diner 20 miles away, watching it play out on my burner account, sipping lukewarm coffee and feeling nothing. Not satisfaction, not revenge, just this strange, hollow quiet. The kind that follows after you finally stop screaming inside your own head. I thought that would be it. I thought she'd spiral, maybe call me, maybe beg. But I didn't hear a word from her for 2 full days. No texts, no calls, not even a block number trying to sneak through. Until the morning, I received an envelope shoved under the door of my motel room. It wasn't from her. It was from him. When I saw the envelope on the floor of my motel room, I froze. It didn't have a return address. No stamp. Just my name, written in pen, shakier than I expected. I stood there, staring at it. The way you stare at something you're not sure is a gift or a threat. Part of me wanted to toss it in the trash without opening it. But curiosity won. It always does with me. And that's probably why I let Delilah get away with as much as she did for as long as she did. I sat on the bed, tore the envelope open, and unfolded a single sheet of lined notebook paper. The handwriting was uneven, rushed. It started like this. "Hey, I don't know your last name, but I figured you'd be here. I'm not writing this to fight. I just need you to know something." That was how the man Delilah betrayed me introduced himself. Not with anger, not with guilt, but with urgency. He went on. "I didn't know. About you, I mean." She said she was single, said her ex was stalking her, that he wouldn't leave her alone, that she was trying to start over. I believed her. I didn't want to, at first. Something felt off, but I was dumb enough to ignore it. He told me his name was Colby. He said he met Delilah through a mutual friend at a design expo. Said they kept things light at first. She claimed she wasn't ready for anything serious, that she was still untangling her past. That past was me, her live-in fiancée. Colby admitted they started sleeping together a few weeks later. He told me about nights I thought she was at her friend Liv's place. He listed off restaurants I'd never even heard of, bars I'd never been to, the kinds of places she always said she hated. He said she laughed there, said she danced like she had no one waiting at home. The letter got worse. He wrote that when she received the ring at the bar, she looked like she'd been struck by lightning, that she ran outside, hyperventilating, and nearly collapsed by the curb. He said he followed her, tried to calm her down, but all she could say was, "It was supposed to be next weekend. He wasn't supposed to know. Not, I didn't cheat. Not, this is a misunderstanding. Just damage control. Timing." As if my heart breaking early was the real tragedy. But the final paragraph was the part that really flipped everything upside down. I walked her home that night, just to make sure she didn't do anything reckless. That's when I found the box. The one you left. With all the evidence. I read everything. I saw the messages, the receipts, the photos. And the worst part? She lied to me just as easily as she lied to you. I'm done with her. And I'm sorry, man. I don't expect you to believe me or forgive me. I just figured you deserved to hear it from someone who got burned by the same fire. I sat there stunned. Not because Colby wrote it, but because I believed him. The way he described her panic. The things he noticed. He wasn't writing like a man defending himself. He was writing like a man who just realized he'd been a supporting character in someone else's con. I didn't know what to feel. Was I supposed to feel vindicated? I didn't. Was I supposed to feel sorry for him? I didn't. But there was one emotion rising in me I didn't expect. Relief. Not because Delilah was exposed. Not because the guy walked away. But because, for once, I wasn't the only one who saw her clearly. And then my phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. Just 2 words. "We need to talk." I should have ignored the message. Every rational cell in my body told me not to respond. But when you've spent years being lied to, your mind starts clinging to any thread of closure like it might hold your sanity together. I stared at those 4 words, "We need to talk," and convinced myself that maybe, just maybe, Delilah wanted to apologize. Maybe she felt something. Guilt, regret, fear, anything other than cold detachment. So I replied, "Where?" The typing bubbles appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Then finally, "Come to the park. 6 p.m. You'll understand why." Now, before all this, I would have shown up early, brought her coffee, sat on the bench rehearsing how to forgive her just to keep the peace. But now, I came late. Hoodie up. I didn't even tell anyone where I was going, which in hindsight was a massive mistake. When I arrived, the sun was starting to dip. The park was mostly empty. Kids had gone home. The air had that end-of-summer bite in it. I spotted Delilah instantly. She was sitting on a bench under a crooked lamppost, legs crossed, her phone glowing in her lap like a lifeline. She looked up when I approached, but didn't smile. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked unsure. And that scared me more than if she'd come at me screaming. "I didn't write the message," she said quietly. I froze. "What? I didn't text you. That wasn't me." Before I could process that, someone behind me cleared their throat. I turned, and there stood Colby. "Sorry," he said. "I told her I was going to fix this. I figured you wouldn't come if I sent it." "Fix what?" I asked. My voice cracked, and I hated that it did. Delilah stood up, brushing invisible dust from her jeans. "He thinks we should talk. In person. Get everything out. Like we owe each other that." Colby looked more uncomfortable than either of us. "I'm not here to referee. I just didn't want to leave it the way it ended." I took a step back. My mind was sprinting through every possible outcome. A public argument? A trap? Some weird polyamory proposal? I had no idea. Delilah took a deep breath. "You want honesty? Fine. I'll give you some." I braced myself. "I cheated," she said. "I lied. I manipulated you. I don't expect forgiveness, and I'm not here to beg for it." Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. "I just thought you deserved to know something," she continued. "You were never the boring one. You were never the weak one. I was just too selfish to handle someone who actually cared about me." Silence. Not dramatic silence. Just plain, awkward, heavy silence. The kind that fills the space between broken people when there's nothing left to salvage. And then she said something I never expected. "I'm moving. Out of state. I already resigned. I'm gone by the weekend." My jaw clenched. My fists followed. But I didn't speak. "I left something for you," she added. "At the apartment. Top shelf of the closet. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away." Then she turned and walked off. Colby stayed behind, hands in his pockets, staring at the ground. "I didn't come here to comfort her," he said. "I came because I thought you should hear the truth while she still had the guts to say it." I didn't reply. I just left. Walked straight back to my motel like I was floating above myself. Later that night, against every ounce of better judgment, I drove back to the apartment. The key still worked. I opened the closet and reached up. It was a shoebox. Inside, everything I'd ever given her. Notes, photos, my mother's recipe card she once framed. Even the first hoodie she stole from me and pretended not to like. And at the very bottom, the ring box. Still unopened. Still perfectly sealed. That's when it hit me. She never planned to say yes. I sat on the bedroom floor with the shoebox in my lap for what felt like an hour. The motel air still clung to my clothes, stale and sad, but all I could focus on was the weight of that little box at the bottom. It felt heavier now, like it had absorbed everything that had gone wrong. The unopened ring I'd once imagined slipping onto her finger during a weekend getaway now sat like a taunt. Untouched, unloved, perfectly preserved, just like her version of the truth. I didn't open it. Not yet. I put it on the nightstand and left the apartment without turning off the lights. I didn't trust the dark. Not anymore. Back at the motel, I collapsed on the bed and stared at the ceiling fan spinning slow and loud, as if it was trying to hypnotize me into forgetting everything. But sleep didn't come. Instead, my phone lit up again. It was a video. No sender name. Just a link to a file titled, "You should see this." I hesitated, then clicked. The footage was grainy, clearly from a phone. The angle made me sick to my stomach. The inside of a restaurant, warm lighting, jazz music playing faintly in the background. And in the center of the frame was Delilah, smiling, laughing, holding hands across the table with someone who wasn't Colby. Someone new. The timestamp? 3 days ago. After everything went public. After the ring. After the park. After the fake apology. I couldn't breathe. She had looked me in the eyes and said she was leaving. Said she was done. And yet, there she was, wearing the same forest green jacket she wore to the bar that night. This time with someone else entirely. This wasn't grief. This wasn't guilt. This was sport. I stared at the screen while the man leaned in and whispered something in her ear, and she giggled like a schoolgirl. She had already replaced both of us. Me, Colby. We were just placeholders in a long string of performances she called love. The video ended abruptly. No message. Just cold silence. I had no idea who sent it, but the intention was clear. Someone wanted me to know. To really, deeply know that she was never sorry. That every word, every tear, every memory was carefully curated to keep me still. And now that I was moving, she had no use for the act anymore. I wanted to scream, to break something, but I didn't. I just sat there, letting the emptiness settle like dust. Until something clicked. That ring, the one I never opened, wasn't mine anymore. It didn't belong to the man who drove 3 hours to pick it up, or to the one who planned a proposal with trembling hands. It belonged to the man who saw clearly now. Who saw her. All of her. So I picked up the box, walked out of the motel, and drove back to the bar. Yes, that bar. It was late, nearly midnight, but the place was open. Same cracked mirror in the back. Same bartender, who gave me a look that said everything and nothing at once. I walked to the booth and sat in the same seat where she had once smiled at someone else. I placed the ring box on the table. Then I pulled out a Sharpie, wrote 2 words on a napkin, and tucked it under the box. Keep it. Not for her. For anyone. A stranger. A server. A random couple sitting down for drinks. Let someone else open it. Wonder what it meant. Let the mystery of it outlive the truth. I didn't want it anymore. The only thing I wanted now was silence. Real, uninterrupted, honest silence. But of course, Delilah had other plans. I thought that leaving the ring at the bar would be the end of it. My way of putting an exclamation mark on a chapter that should have closed the second she kissed someone else. But Delilah doesn't believe in endings. Not when she's not the one writing them. I should have known better. It happened the next morning. I was checking out of the motel, folding my clothes into a trash bag because I hadn't even bothered to bring luggage. I figured I'd drive until I got tired or until the road stopped making sense. I wanted distance more than direction. And just as I reached for my keys, my phone buzzed again. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize, though something about the timing made my chest tighten. Nice move at the bar. Dramatic. A little cliché, but hey, you're improving. Delilah. My thumb hovered over the screen. I wasn't going to respond. I wanted nothing to do with her voice, her words, her manipulations. But then the next message came in. You should have waited 10 more minutes. Would have seen what happened next. That stopped me. I sat back down on the edge of the motel bed, staring at the screen. I knew it was bait. She wanted control again. Wanted to pull the strings. But I bit. Because I'm weak like that. Because I had to know. What happened? No response for 2 minutes. Then a video. No caption. Just a short clip. It was grainy again, probably taken from the bar's security camera. It showed the booth where I left the ring. 2 women walked in, laughing, drinks in hand. One noticed the box, opened it. She gasped. The other woman leaned in, mouth wide in shock, then burst out laughing. A bartender approached them, shrugged, and pointed at the napkin. Keep it. They did. They pocketed the ring like it was a souvenir. Just like that, 3 paychecks worth of commitment turned into someone's bar night trivia story. It should have stung. But weirdly, it didn't. Delilah's message followed. You gave away something real. Just like that. No fight. No drama. You really think you're the good guy in all this? And there it was. Her favorite game, flipping the blame. Gaslighting until I questioned everything. I started typing. Deleted it. Typed again. Deleted it again. But then a third message came through, and this one made my blood run cold. If you want your side heard, better hurry. I have a version too. And I have followers. Followers? I opened her socials. That's when I saw it. A new post on her lifestyle blog. A long, emotional entry titled, Loving and Leaving a Narcissist, My Story. The preview photo was a close-up of her tear-streaked face, cropped just enough to look vulnerable, but not messy. The caption? Not all monsters look like monsters. Sometimes, they just smile and hold rings they'll never use. It had already racked up dozens of comments. Strangers calling her brave. Others saying they'd been through the same. Some asking if she was okay. No mention of me by name. But the story was unmistakably ours, rewritten in her favor, stripped of any context, shaped to crown her the victim. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was ridiculous. Because no matter how far I ran, she was still one step behind, or ahead, depending on how you looked at it. She'd poisoned the well before I could even warn people there was something in the water. But that laugh faded fast, because there was one comment under her post that chilled me to the bone. It read, "He was just at the bar last night, right? I saw him leave the box. It was so creepy. Like, who does that?" That's when it hit me. She wasn't just spinning a story, she was making me the story. And if I didn't act soon, her fiction would become the truth. I'd walked away thinking silence was power. Now I realized, silence was exactly what she needed to win. I don't know what I expected when I finally hit publish. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped my phone. I'd spent an entire night writing my side of the story, not to get revenge, not to humiliate her, but to take back my voice. I didn't call her names. I didn't sink to her level. I just told the truth. Plain and ugly and honest. I titled it, "The Ring Wasn't for Her, It Was for Closure." I posted it anonymously at first, on a forum that didn't care about curated aesthetics or crying selfies. Just words. Just facts. I included screenshots, dates, receipts. Nothing exaggerated. No dramatics. Just everything she left out of her version. And something strange happened. People listened. They didn't mock me. They didn't roll their eyes at the emotional man trying to make sense of betrayal. They asked questions. They validated what I felt. Some even apologized on behalf of the internet for how often it sides with the better storyteller instead of the truth teller. Her blog didn't get taken down, but the narrative shifted. Fast. The same people who were calling her brave started asking why her narcissistic ex had all the receipts. Why her timeline didn't line up. Why her version kept changing depending on who she was talking to. Within days, she went silent. Deleted the post. Locked her profile. The followers she bragged about? Gone. But that wasn't the victory. The real win came quietly, in the form of a message from a stranger. Her name was June. She'd read both posts. She didn't take sides. She just said, "I've been there too. You're not weak. You're healing. Keep going." We kept talking. Nothing romantic. Just two people who understood what it felt like to be manipulated and doubted. Turns out, she lived only 20 minutes away. We met up. Talked until the place closed. It was the first time in months I laughed without second-guessing myself. I don't know where things with June will go. That's not the point. The point is, I'm no longer stuck in her version of me. I kept thinking the ring symbolized the biggest failure of my life. But now, I see it differently. It was the end of pretending. It was the beginning of me. Thanks for watching Reddit Confessions. Now I want to hear from you. What moment in this story shocked you the most? Was it the bar, the ring, the blog, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you've ever taken your power back in a quiet, powerful way, tell us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Reddit Confessions for more real stories that cut deeper than fiction.